Natasha and Bailu. We need to talk about these two since they are the only healers in the game so far, and they are both HP scaling healers. You will need some sort of sustain, since shields alone will not be enough forever, especially in the later Memory of Chaos. Bailu is a 5-star, so obviously she will power creep Natasha and be better in every way, right? Right? No, not quite. There are still some things Natasha does better, so let's compare the two. Let's start with what's different. First off, not everyone will have Bailu since she is purely from the gacha until you get 300 standard rolls. Meanwhile, everyone gets Natasha after finishing some of the main story quests. Natasha's biggest advantage over Bailu is her ability to cleanse a debuff. There's not that many options to cleanse so far. We have Bronya, who is another 5-star, and March 7th. Some enemies will continue to stack dots that keep refreshing and deal tons of damage. Look at the 10 stacks of bleed I have on Fire MC. One cleanse and they're gone. And cleanse is very useful for getting rid of other debuffs like freeze. If you don't give it a freeze normally, then you end up losing an entire turn, which is obviously bad. Similar to getting imprisonment. And of course, Natasha is MVP against Kafka. The cleanse is almost mandatory to stop Kafka's mind control. But you might want to let her dominate you at least once, for reasons. And even though Natasha's a 4-star, her healing can match pretty well with Bailu after getting some Eidolons that I'll cover later. And another advantage with Natasha is her element. When breaking enemies, physical does a lot more damage than lightning. And even though they both apply a dot like bleed or shock, the actual pop is much stronger for physical. Your break effect stat will also increase the damage of this pop. Now let's go over their abilities and how they're alike and different. Both healers share the same basic idea. Both of their ultimates immediately heal the party, and their skills heal a nice chunk too. Bailu's ultimate adds a small automatic heal after the ally gets hit, which is nice to keep them topped off. Meanwhile, Natasha's ultimate just heals. It does add some extra healing, but only to low health allies, so you probably won't see this bonus much. Also note that Natasha's ultimate only costs 90 energy, while Bailu costs 100, so Natasha is able to ult a little more often. Their skills both heal a single target, but Bailu's does 2 extra bounces with less healing each bounce. These bounces are random, so it can work against you at times. I have gotten major heals where all 3 bounces hit the same target, while other times it kept bouncing to full health allies and ignoring the others that are actually at low health. The bounces can be helpful in the simulated universe with this blessing or others with similar procs. Meanwhile, Natasha's skill only heals 1 target, but it does apply a hot for 2 turns and does the very important cleanse. Now let's compare their abilities even closer. I have both healers' abilities set to level 6 to compare directly. But since Natasha is a 4-star, it is very possible to get Eidolons and higher ability levels as a free-to-play. Anyways, back to the comparison. At level 6, Bailu's skill heals a little more than Natasha, by 1% plus some change. But Natasha does have 2 extra turns of auto heal, which is very good for characters with taunt or high aggro. And Natasha removes the debuff too. On the other hand, Bailu's skill jumps to random targets, so you might get very good RNG to heal whoever needs it, or bad RNG and only heal your target once. I prefer Natasha's skill here since it's way more dependable. For ultimates, Bailu heals a little less than Natasha and costs 10 more energy, but Bailu does provide some extra healing if allies get hit later on. Meanwhile, Natasha only does extra healing if the ally is below 30%. This time, Bailu wins out since the Invigorate can help your team stay topped off, allowing Bailu to generate some extra skills with basic attacks during the next couple turns. And for passives, Natasha adds extra healing and makes her hot become 3 turns, which will take the edge over Bailu's direct healing numbers. Meanwhile, Bailu can give allies 10% extra max HP and 10% damage reduction, and can also revive a down ally once per battle, which is a nice comfy buffer for the team. So while both are heavy healers that scale off HP, Natasha does more direct healing, while Bailu does more mitigations. And as mentioned, Natasha is a 4-star, so getting extra copies of her is not that rare, even for free-to-play. So let's look at her Eidolons and see if they give another edge over Bailu. Her E1 does a self-emergency heal, and that has saved me a bunch of times. While Bailu can revive a down ally, she cannot revive herself, and there's been many times when a healing proc on the healer would have made a big difference for the fight. For E2, Natasha adds a hot for her ultimate, but this only applies to low health allies, so it's not as big of a deal unless you are fighting a very close fight. E3 and E5 adds levels to her abilities, which is enough to out-heal an E0 Bailu. Very basic Eidolons, but it does make a difference when comparing the two. Natasha's E4 is very strong. It gives her extra energy when attacked, which helps charge her low-cost ultimate back even faster. This is her best Eidolon, followed by E1. And lastly, we got E6 that adds a little extra damage. It's not enough to push her towards a DPS role, but the bonus is nice since you will build a lot of HP on Natasha anyways. And for building stats, we have to go to Relics next. Since both healers scale off HP, they want pretty much the same stat and set. For main stats on the chest, you want outgoing healing boost, but HP percent also works if you're not getting lucky. The healing percent does add more to the overall heals, but either is fine. For boots, you want speed for two reasons. One is getting their turns more often, and the other is to activate the bonus on the ornament set. The best ornament set is the HP set, and when your speed is over 120, then the set gives an extra 8% attack boost for the entire team. While 8% might not seem like much, it affects all 4 team members, and it stacks. So if you have the healer and a support with this set, you get double the attack bonus. For ornament main stats, you want HP percent on the globe, and either HP percent, energy regen, or break effect on the rope. All 3 are useful and works well, so you don't need to farm as much to get a usable piece. Just focus on breaking that 120 speed with the boots and substats. Then pick the ones with the most HP. For light cones, there are plenty of options that all work well. The obvious best one is the 5-star. It adds more HP and healing, which both really want, and the passive also adds some extra damage for the team. But the 4-star and even 3-star light cones works just as good. The 3-star Cornucopia increases healing, and it's very easy to get Superimpose 5. The 4-star light cone post-op conversation is quite strong since it gives stronger and more frequent ultimates. But this one is from the gacha only. The Quid Pro Quo is my favorite 4-star light cone for healers. It is free to play friendly and we can get Superimpose 5 eventually, and the passive is very helpful for your teammates. I mean, who doesn't want faster ultimates? Your teammates will be very thankful. And that about covers it for comparing Natasha and Bailu. Natasha is a very strong healer and can match Bailu's healing potential at higher Eidolons, which is achievable for free-to-plays. But Bailu still has better mitigations. If you were lucky enough to get Natasha and Bailu, then raise them both, since the endgame content will require more than one team to clear the different sides of Memory of Chaos. Hope this video was helpful. Click that like button because it really helps the channel, and as always, have fun out there, Trailblazer.